All right, for more on Donald Trump's inaugural speech, we're joined by research associate at UJ Center for African Diplomacy and Leadership, Dr. Oscar van Heerden. Doctor, good evening. Thank you very much for joining us on The Full View. So Trump has made true, or rather stuck true to his promise and moved with lightning speed to sign a flurry of those executive orders we've been speaking about. What did you make of that inaugural speech?
Well, true to Trump, it was bizarre in many ways, but expected. Picking fights with Biden and Biden's administration, making clear that he is prepared to see through some of the electoral promises that he has made. And as you say, within hours after that, swearing in, sitting in the middle of a crowd, supporters of Trump and MAGA, and signing more than 50 executive orders. This is unprecedented. It's just Trump first. It's another first for Trump. So many things. And so, I agree with many pundits, which is that we are in for a stormy ride, a bumpy ride.
It's going to be very turbulent 4 years. But among those orders is the withdrawal of the United States from the Paris Climate Agreement, which is quite the talking point even today as the world moves to cleaner energy. He stated that the electric vehicle mandate will, among others, be reversed and declaring a national energy emergency. What did you make of that decision?
Well, that decision is purely playing into the hands of big oligarchs and big business in terms of fossil fuels. As you know, prior to this talk of climate change and as well as carbon emissions, America was one of the countries which were guzzling lots and lots of fuel with their big vehicles and so on and so forth. So this opens the way for that to yet again make money, but also opens the way to fossil fuel, fracking, drilling, all the things that it's basically going in reverse.
But he said they actually have the cleanest atmosphere, according to him. And in that attempt to defend the decision to roll back environmental protections, he actually said, if all nations don't come to the party, then it's honestly futile. That if you're going to see an America attempting to do away with fossil fuels while you've got other countries, perhaps the highly industrialized countries such as your China, continuing with fossil fuels, then it's futile. So it's either everybody's on board or nobody's on board. What did you make of just that explanation, that if others don't come to the party, then America isn't?
It's a very clever argument, because the truth of the matter is America and Europe, as we all know, with the industrial age, were the ones that were actually emitting the most, polluting the atmosphere over generations, and to get to where they are today. Now, in the 21st century, with the age of countries such as India, China, Brazil, and others that are wanting to move with industrialization, clearly having an argument that if they do it, why should we not do it, is clearly trying to say China and India needs to be held responsible for what they put into the atmosphere at this point in time. It's a very clever political argument, and it's very difficult to counter such an argument.
Which some, even in South Africa, who brought it back home, actually share those sentiments as well. And one wonders if it wouldn't embolden those that want to hold on to fossil fuels to say, if you've heard in America stating that for them, they're going to prioritize on manufacturing, then perhaps South Africa as well shouldn't rush to transition in this respect because, we're a third world country. Would that not embolden these people when hearing such a statement from a first world country, a leader of society in essence?
No, absolutely. And as you know, the United States was in the forefront of giving us some money in terms of the package to make the just transition. That's off the table now, clearly, with this new position of the Trump administration. So it does embolden people that are going to say, we need to hold on to our coal, we need to look at nuclear, and so on, and not be that obsessed with moving towards cleaner energy. Trump is really taking us 3-4 steps back, and it's really not good for the world.
No, most certainly this particular matter will divide a lot. But today we also heard President Cyril Ramaphosa, who's currently at the World Economic Forum, in his address imploring nations to harness their collective resources to address world challenges, be it poverty and climate change, discouraging isolationism and protectionism, which was quite interesting because it's a day after we heard that inaugural speech, which was littered with elements or rhetoric around protectionism and isolationism. What did you make of just the President Cyril Ramaphosa's address in contrast to what we heard yesterday?
Well, the truth of the matter is that the world is divided on this issue and many other issues. This is the reality that we find ourselves in. There is a school of thought that says that we need to try and save the planet. We need to move away from fossil fuels. There is a big accord, COP, to try and make sure that countries fall in line. There's incentive packages. It's a big movement. And what Trump is really saying is that I'm not interested in this. We're going to do it our way. And as you say, he's emboldening the other side, the other school of thought that says this is a red herring. We are not necessarily warming up the atmosphere. It's not going to happen in our generation or the next. And therefore, why should we worry about it? It is really just that contestation. And I think President Ramaphosa is, through his speech at Davos, trying to say that as South Africa, we want to be on the right side of history. As to what the consequences of that will be, we'll have to wait and see.
Doctor, thank you very much for your insights this evening. That's UJ Center for African Diplomacy and Leadership, Dr. Oscar van Heerden speaking to us there.